Welcome to Fantastic Vision. Please subscribe us before you watch today's video. Just recently, Dutch Economy Minister Karel Kermans announced on social media that, given China's shown goodwill, the Netherlands had decided to suspend its administrative intervention order against Nexperia. This statement itself is a trap. Suspension is not termination, meaning the other side can continue to take action at any time to strip Nexperia of its actual control. Even more unexpectedly, while returning actual control to the Chinese company, the other side did not rescind the series of rulings previously issued by the Dutch court against Nexperia. This means that Wingtech CEO Zhong Shuozheng remains barred from performing his duties. Is this a return of control, or a different way of continuing the hijacking? While the Dutch claim their decisions are unrelated to the US, they are simultaneously holding the Chinese CEO firmly in their grasp. What's the catch behind this month-long power struggle? In my opinion, the Dutch are using the same old tricks. By sending a signal that the Netherlands is willing to negotiate with China, they are giving China and Wingtech a good show. However, the crucial penalty has not actually been revoked. The ruling made by the Dutch court on October 7 remains in effect. Zhong Shuozheng's board position is still suspended, and Wingtech's control over Nexperia remains limited. According to Bloomberg, citing sources familiar with the matter, the Netherlands is willing to return control of Nexperia, because the court ruling suspending the CEO's position is still in effect. In other words, while the company's actual ownership has been returned to China, the Chinese executives have not regained their management authority. This is a tactic of limited return. The ingenuity lies in the fact that the Dutch government can at any time declare, "We respect market rules and do not engage in administrative intervention," thus returning actual control of Nexperia to the Chinese company. At the same time, it can use the judicial system to continue to restrict the Chinese company's core personnel appointment power. The government and the courts, one playing the good cop and the other the bad cop, ostensibly return control, but in reality, foreign executives still hold power. If the Dutch government becomes displeased again, or if the US exerts pressure, the Dutch can easily invoke an executive order again, citing changed circumstances, to seize so-called actual control. In fact, Wingtech Technologies' announcement on the evening of November 19 already clarified everything. Wingtech Technology explicitly stated in its announcement that although the Dutch government's executive order was suspended, the corporate court's ruling of October 7 remained in effect, and all of Wingtech's emergency measures were still underway. Wingtech's control over Nexperia remains restricted. What does this mean? It means that the aggrieved company is fully aware of the Dutch tactics. Why are the Dutch so determined to control the CEO? Because in modern corporate governance, the CEO is the brain. If a major shareholder can only receive dividends, but cannot implement their conventional will regarding the company through the CEO, then this major shareholder is, in essence, the charade, lacking actual control. Nexperia's supply chain layout conveniently provides the Netherlands with the space to operate in this way. Headquartered in the Netherlands, with wafer fabs in Hamburg, Germany and the UK, but 80% of its packaging and testing capacity is concentrated in its Dongguan factory. The Netherlands has essentially taken the empty shell of the headquarters and the upstream wafer fabs. The real production capacity is firmly in China's hands. The problem is, If the CEO isn't Chinese, and Chinese people don't have the final say on the board, then even with production capacity in China, decision-making power remains with the Dutch headquarters. This is the Dutch strategy. They want Nexperia's chips and a stable supply chain, but they don't want China's influence. They want Nexperia to continue operating as a European company, utilizing China's market and manufacturing capabilities, but they want to sever its deep ties with China at the decision-making level. This want strategy essentially aims to get Chinese companies to continue supplying the Dutch factory. Currently, China has realized the Dutch tactics and is preparing countermeasures. In fact, another noteworthy point in this incident is that Dutch Economy Minister Kermans announced the return of control of the Chinese company not through a Dutch government decree, nor through official Dutch media, but through so-called social media. The signal contained here is itself worthy of attention. I believe this statement is merely a test of China's attitude. If the test succeeds, the other side can take further steps in the Nexperia semiconductor issue. If it fails, the Netherlands will not suffer greater losses. Such non-authoritative media and non-governmental announcements lack any real authority. The Netherlands' current approach is essentially a delaying tactic. Pressure from Germany and within the EU is forcing them to resolve the chip supply issue quickly. However, the Netherlands is unwilling to concede to China regarding the actual ownership of Nexperia. This has led to the current stalemate in the handling of the incident. Currently, the power struggle in this incident is far from over, and further back-and-forth battles are expected. Ultimately, the Nexperia saga is a microcosm of the structural shift in global supply chain dominance. In the past, the West controlled technology and standards, while China could only act as a foundry. Now, China controls key production capacity, and the West is becoming increasingly reliant on China. This shift in supply chain structure is precisely what the West is most unwilling to accept, and what they are desperately trying to reverse. The Nexperia incident is a concrete manifestation of this concept.